Hello and welcome to Understanding Crypto. My name is Herve, and every other day here I try to decipher cryptocurrency in the easiest way possible on the internet. I cover things like predictive analysis, research and tutorials to help guide you through this treacherous marketplace. If that's the type of content you find interesting, be sure to click that like button and follow for more content like so. Today we are just covering Pulsechain and some of the other projects in the Pulsechain ecosystem. The community has been really good to me, so I update on their stuff from time to time. We are going to start right here with Pulsechain, and yeah, this is on the weekly time frame, by the way. So the weekly, we are looking at things that could happen in weeks to come, or say months to come, yeah, where it could eventually go and what possible invalidation points we could also be looking at. Now, you could just take this trend line right here and say that if it breaks out of this trend line, it's going to go to the upside like so. But the problem with that is you don't know exactly where it will break out. Yeah, if you say that it's going to just go up like so and break out, that gives you a different target. If you say that it's going to consolidate like so and breaks out from the possible trend line right here, it will also give you a different target. Hence why I just go by Fibonacci with things like this. Now, a quick disclaimer, my technique mostly works with bigger projects, things like BTC and Ethereum, possibly the stock market. Well, it works even better with the stock market. So the technique relies on a lot of volume and participation, say market participation. Yeah. So take whatever you hear from here with a grain of salt. It may not work, and it's simply all we got at this point. Yeah. Aside from the SEC, our arch nemesis, Gary Gensler, following up with crypto people every day. Anyway, let's forget about him. What we can see is we are forming some sort of giant double bottom. I did suggest this top actually on Twitter. I did on X, and I'm filming this for X. I did suggest this top right here, and if anybody took profits, then okay. But usually you'd have this first top like so, and I'm thinking that this might just have been the first wave of the ginormous rally. Yeah, the rule here is it should not go below this particular low right here. So if it goes below this, then this is no longer that first wave. It's something else. It's no longer this. It does not mean that if it goes below this, it won't go up at all. It might still obey these levels. Yeah, just keep that in mind. It might still obey these levels, but it will no longer be the first wave. So we will have to reassess whenever, or if that ever happens. If it comes below here, then we will have to reassess. But for now, it hasn't done that. So yeah, it's still in a good range. Now, this current low right here, this current position is clearly undervalued for this thing. I mean, it's quite literally a copy of Ethereum. So at least it should be doing well. The problem is adoption actually, and we will come to that in a moment. The levels that you see right here in white, these levels right here at 0.000000, that's 3 zeros, 1447. Yeah, these are the conservative targets. Yeah, so the levels in white are the conservative targets, and the levels in yellow are the maximum targets. So the maximum targets of this small formation right here. The 0.786 is the first big resistance that this thing will have to break to prove a possible move to the upside. So 0.786 puts us somewhere around 0.0001447. If we do break that, then we will most likely go far higher into the 1.618 right there. 1.618 will put us at 0.0002589, and the 2.618 right here at 0.0003960, that now then becomes the maximum resistance. We could head as high as the 4.618, but 2.618 will be very strong, just as strong as this high right here, because this was my 2.618 for this particular formation. So the way I go about this is this particular formation that you see right here gave me this high. This formation, which is now looking at it from the bigger picture, this particular formation gives me this high, just as this one gave me this one right here. In a very strong trend, it could go as high as the 4.618, but just be mindful that this 2.618 right here, if you can screenshot this stuff, it will be great. So just be mindful that this 2.618 right here at 3960, that will be very strong for Mr. PLS. and possibly heading into the maximum target. So you could have a situation where these maximum targets are also barriers. So you have a wick into the maximum target and this level right here. In a strong trend, it will go as high as this one, which is the 4.618. Now, in the maximum targets, or say the maximum zones to target, which is what you see in the yellow right here, the first zone that we will have to break will be the 0.786. 0.786 is not will not be very strong, I would say, because that 0.786 means that we've defeated this one already in the conservative. So I'd say that we go as high as the 1.618. The 1.618 in this case is 44.98. The strongest zone in the maximum targets will be this one right here at 0.0007045 at the 2.618. If this zone is met in like a real bull market, maybe ending next year or beginning next year, be very careful there, because it could very well be the top. So I'm not saying it will be the top. I'm just telling you that yeah, the analysis would suggest that this zone will be very, very strong. We're talking so strong that price could come as high as that zone, like so, and come even as low as this zone right here. I'm just telling you now before, because when this particular 2.618 right here was met, I was now expecting a big move back to the downside. Now, I will not say that I expected Pulsechain to come as low as this particular zone. I expected it to come as low as this zone right here, this one. This level right here, this was the level that I expected Pulsechain to hold, which it did not. It went into the range, and I expected that it comes into this level right here and go back up like so. But then, well, Pulsechain went lower than that. It went into the range. It was not supposed to go into this particular range right here, but it's okay. It did not go below this low, so it's okay. If it didn't go into this range, then Pulsechain will be very strong in its rally. All right, so that's pretty much it for Pulsechain. Percentage increase, we can see that if Pulsechain, which is well, if you could ask that if I held Pulsechain, what then would I do? Yeah, where will I consider being careful, aka consider taking something off the table? Well, if I held Pulsechain, I'd be weary around this zone right here at 39.60. I'd also, consider taking something off the table somewhere around this 2.618 right here, which is somewhere around 70.45. Now, that's about a 15x actually from current price. Now, the highest zone, which is this one, that's the maximum level, will be this one right here, which is somewhere around 4.618. 4.618 is giving us anywhere around a 26x return on investment. So that's somewhere around 1214, 0.001214. Around that zone is where I'd be very, very careful. Yeah, this is like the 100% sell point. Yeah, like I wouldn't even sit and wait for 100x. Now, another disclaimer, I don't do the 1000x, 10,000x things. You could go that way when you're looking fundamentally, yeah? But I simply do not have the levels to prove a 1000x here. So if you are hoping that it's going to do a 10,000x, well, I would wish you well, but simply I'm just telling you what I can see on the charts. I'm not saying that your levels or your price targets can't be met. I'm just saying I cannot see it from here, just objectively speaking. All right, so that's pretty much it for Pulsechain. From current price, we can see an increase of 26x, but again, this is just what the chart says. It's not guaranteed in any way. If it doesn't gain any adoption or doesn't get any inflows, of course it's not going to do that, yeah? But we are just looking at what is the chart actually saying. If people decide to dump, if everybody decides to sell here, of course it won't go up there. We are just looking at the current chart and not even basing it on any type of fundamentals at all. We're just looking at the chart and trying to suggest what zones it could possibly respect in a possible move to the upside. All right, now that we are clear on that, let's move on to PLS. Now, PLS is actually more interesting chart-wise, not I'm not saying fundamentally, but even fundamentally, it is also interesting. And because if you look right here, you will see that the most value on Pulsechain is actually on PulseX. Yeah, you can see that we have about $333 million locked in Pulsechain. That's 333.8, and about $245 million of that 333 is actually on PulseX. Maybe that's why its chart looks better, because it is holding this particular range right here. It's holding this range right here, which is good. Yeah, which is good. We have a small double bottom here, and we can clearly see that it went, I don't want to say it took liquidity there, but it does look like it, yeah, technically speaking. So yeah, that's what happened here, and it did not just sink right into the range like Mr. PLS did, or Mrs. I don't know. So yeah, the conservative targets for PulseX and its fib levels do match quite a lot than PLS. All right, so yeah, the conservative targets, we are looking at the 0.786 from current price. That's about 180%. So we have 180%, and this is the most important zone that we have to break for the conservative targets. Yeah, we have to break above this and confirm it. If you do that, then you will most likely go through the 1.618. By doing that, you are already activating the maximum targets, actually, because that is a 0.786 for maximum targets. And from there, this is another important zone. This would actually be, if I bought PLX right now, this is the zone that I seek to take profits from. And this 0.786, again, depending on the time, if this is happening in peak bull market and it can only reach at the 0.786, then I'll just bid it goodbye and say, all right, yeah, we're heading into the bear market, so yeah. But Pulsechain and HEX, generally, they move differently from the rest of the crypto market. So if you're really a diehard in these things, then you just have to wait. Yeah, I mean, like investing in stuff like this, you just have to be prepared for the worst until the best does come. So just take all of this with a grain of salt. We are just looking at where it could potentially go. And if you have your own targets like the 1000x or the 100x, you can stick to them, but just be mindful of these zones. Now, highest conservative target is here at 4.618. That's 0.0003213. Yeah, around that zone, you will have some problems with PLS, PLX. Now, the 2.618 for maximum conservative targets will be another issue, because yeah, that could plummet price. So if price could reach that particular zone right here, again, depending on the time, you should be careful. Yeah, that's 35.96 from current price. That's about a 15x actually. The highest target that I can see for PLX, that's actually somewhere around 62.13, which is a 27x from current price. I don't know if it's going to happen. Again, we're just looking at the charts and looking at where it could potentially go. That's about a 27x from current price for PLX. Now let's move on to Inc and do this quickly so that we don't waste any time. So Inc, I would actually stress more on the conservative targets rather than the maximum targets. Yeah, so conservative targets, the most important zone that you have to break is the $6 zone. The $11 zone will be kind of an issue, $11 to $13, and $19 is actually where I'd seek to really protect myself, because it could plummet from there. And the highest target that I can see for Inc is $33. I really don't know if this is possible, to be honest, but that's just what the chart says. for those of you who just want to know what the maximum could be, is somewhere around $70 to $73. That's where it could go. But this actually gives me the maximum for PLX's chart. So rather than investing in this on the idea of making 27x, which is more risky actually than PLX, I'd rather just invest in PLX. So that's pretty much it. I would say protect yourself at this $19 zone if it can get there. We will maybe update in the future if these things start to move. We will then see where it's actually going, what targets it is respecting, whether it's respecting more the conservative or the maximum targets. With HEX, I do have a grudge on Richard Hart about this HEX thing, and some of you may know why, some of you that follow me. So with HEX, I'd just look at these other targets right here. For those of you who think that I'm like hating or saying that it cannot go higher, I'm not saying it cannot go higher. We are just looking at the chart, just what we have, just the data, and looking for where it could potentially go solely based on that chart. Yeah. And this chart tells us that the highest it could go is 8 cents. So 0.8376. 5 cents is a very strong zone. By strong, I mean very, very strong. But I think it will blow that up. It will most likely consolidate there and blow it up and go as high as this 8 cent level. The reason why I say that is because this is a very big consolidation right here. Just going up here will not stop this thing. So I'd be more on the idea of this 8 cent level on HEX. That's about a 14x. I have reasons to believe that PLX could be the best investment in the Pulsechain ecosystem, to be honest. Yeah. Possibly so, because it respects its chart more, or Fibonacci levels more than the others. But again, just be careful when you reach 5 cents or 8 cents. Yeah, just be careful around those levels, because this 8 cent zone could mark the top for this thing. But it needs to break this 1 cent level, so 0.1983. It needs to break that zone. It will be strong resistance, this level right here. If Richard Hart defeats the SEC and Mr. Gary Clownsler, it will most likely take this thing as high as the 1.618, which will be somewhere around 3 cents. Or it could just go as high as the 0.786 before we have some sort of consolidation. But just be mindful of these levels. You can screenshot it or, keep them somewhere, because it will most likely respect them if it is to go up. Again, we cannot prove if it's going to go up, but those are the levels that the chart suggests. Now with HEX on Ethereum, well, this is where I had a problem with Richard Hart. We had a very, very good chart for this thing. A very, very good chart. And then he brought the message that HEX on Pulsechain is better than HEX on Ethereum. The community saw that as a way of him saying that it's a better investment, and so they sold off HEX on Ethereum and bought more of the HEX on Pulsechain, or say bought more Pulsechain ecosystem tokens. And what he should have done, which is what just in my opinion, of course, is let the market decide. It wasn't worded properly, because he basically made the community dump this coin. It's not like it's entirely his fault, but the wording of it, you can say some things in a particular way and, people interpret it in a different way. So it could have been worded better. And so, yeah, that's where I have an issue with him. He really should have let the markets decide, because this whole idea of HEX did a 10,000x, well, you can't really say that anymore, because, it's no longer a 10,000x now, is it? You can't use that rhetoric again. So he should have just let the markets decide, because we had a perfect perfect inverted head and shoulders here to move to the upside, yeah. And then he brought his rhetoric of HEX on Pulsechain is better than HEX on Ethereum because of some gas fee stuff. Another thing that I would criticize about Richard Hart and some people in the Pulsechain community is this constant nag of Pulsechain is better than Bitcoin, Pulsechain is better than this. It's all about criticizing other tokens or projects or communities rather than incorporating with them or somehow partnering with them. I would advise, no place to advise, of course, but I would just say that if I was the founder of this, I'd be looking for ways to, partner up with different ecosystems, bring more adoption rather than, slander other tokens or say bash on other projects saying that mine is better, it does this, yours doesn't. And clearly those others are, better price-wise and better, community, not really community because I know that the Pulsechain community is very big, but better, adoption-wise, which is why price goes up in crypto. Price goes up because of adoption, be it by people actually buying to use or people speculating on the utility or say the meme coin stuff of that project. And I've seen this recently, a lot more Pulsechain community influencers and content creators are beginning to focus a lot more on Pulsechain's utility rather than just criticizing other projects. Anyway, with HEX on Ethereum, the highest, unfortunately, I can see for now is the 0.618 and 0.786. 0.786 keeps you at 0.008353. 0.618 keeps you at 0.006840. Yeah, those are the highest levels that I can see for HEX on Ethereum. If Pulsechain does well and PulseX does well, which I think they will most likely do, in the bull market, it will be crazy. Everybody will be buying everything. We all get rich in the bull markets, yeah? This will most likely go up in such a situation because people will come to speculate on its ability to go up. So, yeah, those are the highest zones that I can see for this thing. If it does go there, then we are looking at a 321% to 417% price increase. Unfortunately, those are the highest levels that I can see for this. I wish it goes higher, but yeah, that's just about it. But I do see that today these things have been going up well, yeah? They have been doing well in the last 24 hours. So we are actually up by 27% on PLX, Inc. 30%, HEX 28%, and Pulsechain 19%. Usually, I would like to invest in the infrastructure project, so the project that houses everything to be safe. But it's just interesting to me that PulseX looks better than all of them chart-wise. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. But until then, stay safe.